Hello, friends. This is Garth Freeman, and welcome to Thinking Out Loud, where I explore different trains of thought and chase down lines of reasoning, and I talk it out. With that being said, please bear in mind that none of the opinions that I am expressing today are fully formed, so I may or may not stand behind any or all of them in the future. Thanks. Hope you enjoy. If you do, please like and subscribe. I watched a video, I want to think it was Truth Stream Media, where he was talking about Alex Jones and calling him out for being controlled opposition, which I agree with him on that. I believe that Alex Jones is totally controlled opposition. Now, what is Alex Jones doing in this election cycle? I mean, he's playing right into it. Truth Stream Media, in his video, he talks about how the election is basically just a scripted TV show. It's entertainment. It's not real, completely not real, which is something that I have been contemplating lately, and I'm not all the way there. I'm trying to figure out if that's possible. There seems to be a lot of things that are involved. The news has to be reporting on real stuff that does happen, that people can verify. But I'm digressing a little bit. The point is, if it's all fake, if it's all a big scripted thing in order to divide people into specific categories that are easily manipulated, Alex Jones has certainly fit the bill for controlled opposition, in my opinion, because there's always going to be a certain percentage of the population that is going to recognize that the reality that they're being presented is inconsistent with the logic. It's inconsistent with the reality that they see before them. And they're going to question that. And they're going to fight against all the brainwashing types of things that are going on. There's always going to be a percentage of the population that's just not going to be affected by it. So you've got guys like Alex Jones who are there to catch those people when they slip through the cracks, and they utilize their curiosity in order to build up a little kingdom, a little fiefdom. So these people are looking for the truth, and instead they find Alex Jones, who gives them things that are legitimate. He gives them real news that the mainstream media has been hiding from them. Those are the only people that are going to find it anyway. So they find Alex Jones, and he's telling them all these things that they can verify are true, that the corrupt corporate media is not reporting on, and that builds credibility. So people will follow a guy like Alex Jones, like they followed Donald Trump. They follow Alex Jones into following Donald Trump. I mean, most people who I knew, who I interacted with, that were followers of Alex Jones before this election cycle geared up, would have identified themselves as libertarian because Alex Jones did. But now Alex Jones is supporting Donald Trump, and all these people are supporting Donald Trump while drinking their tangy tangerine. So Alex Jones is just extremely influential over certain people, and these people are getting pissed about the way the world is working. They've been telling people all these years the Clintons are corrupt, 9/11 was an inside job, the elite that control the world are Satan worshipers, and all this other stuff, and child molesters, and all this other stuff. It's been going on for years. Now they're all geared up for Trump, and they're convinced that if Hillary Clinton becomes the winner of the next presidential election, then that will mean that the New World Order is trying to take over the country. And all these revelations are coming out about Hillary Clinton, telling about how she's corrupt, and all these things that the people who listen to Alex Jones and other radio hosts like him have been saying for years is now they're being vindicated. Now it's coming out that they were right all along, and here's the evidence. I think it's going to get more. I think there's going to be more dimes dropped on this whole thing with Clinton. Okay, so if they're really pushing this certain percentage of the population that has quote unquote woken up, and they've got them all stirred up into this almost religious frenzy to support Donald Trump, why in the world would you concentrate all this energy into getting these people stirred up, to getting them agitated? And I could see two things happening. Either Donald Trump will be elected and be the next president, or he will not get elected. So what happens to all these really emotionally invested people who are already on the fringe? What happens to them if Donald Trump does not get elected? Well, I think there could be a civil war over it. I really do. Because if Donald Trump does not get elected, all these people that are behind him are that are supporting him, all of his supporters are going to be calling it a rigged election. They're going to say that it was not legitimate, and they are going to demand action. Now, despite what anybody wants to say about the Project Action Veritas video that shows that the Hillary Clinton campaign did in fact send people into the Donald Trump rallies in order to start fights, that does not dismiss the fact that people at Donald Trump's rallies were still willing to punch an old woman with an oxygen mask on the face. So these people are willing to commit violence in order to get their way. So if Donald Trump becomes president, or if Donald Trump does not win the election, we're looking at a possible civil war. However, let's say the opposite is true. Let's say that Donald Trump does win the election. One, it vindicates all these people who for years have been saying that the elitists are controlling the world, and it makes Donald Trump Julius Caesar. Donald Trump will be the most popular and well-supported president by people Donald Trump could very well be the next Hitler, because the people who support Donald Trump are not willing to listen to reason in regards to his character or lack thereof. They don't care, because the only thing that matters is stopping Hillary, and they are willing to buy whatever Donald is selling. So if Donald Trump goes on to become the president, I think we will likely not see a civil war. However, I think we will see martial law-like conditions pervasive throughout our society. Things like stop and frisk will be everywhere. There will be civil patrols. Who knows? I mean, Donald Trump's an authoritarian. So we got that to look forward to. Now, the question really is, why? The question is, if they're doing all this, if it's all a staged, fake game, then why this support? Why this stirred up percentage of the population that supports Alex Jones and the like? What are they going to use it for? And I don't know. I think at this point it looks like they're really presenting the population with a choice between, an unspoken choice but a choice nonetheless between civil war and totalitarian regime. And the vehicle that they're using it to push are the people who used to say that they were all about freedom. Now, how does that tie into the spiritual warfare aspect? I don't think there's a secret cabal of 13 families of the Illuminati really controlling everything like it's puppets on a string. That doesn't make sense. And in fact, that seems to be impossible. They can't possibly be doing it without without people following or finding out about it. They can't possibly be doing it through 13 families controlling the whole world without the rest of the population finding out about it. They can't do it. The only way it makes sense to me is if it's not actually 13 human families, but what instead is the controlling force behind all this is the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm. The principalities and powers, those people are orchestrating their war on God. Now, okay, so they're not people. They're spiritual beings. They're watchers and whatever they are. They are executing a war on God. And what they are doing in order to steer the greatest amount of public opinion and whatnot away from God is they co-opt the leaders of big groups of people, the thought leaders, the moral leaders, the world view leaders. So they don't, in the past, the principalities and the powers were divvied up according to the number of the sons of God, Deuteronomy 32. They were in charge of the nations. Now, I don't know if they still are or if there's any that are still in charge of the nations, but I do think that if I were an intelligent, spiritual enemy, the way that I would try, and my intent was to steer as many souls away from God as possible, or to deceive as many human beings as possible, the way that I would affect that is to influence directly the leadership of social and political groups and movements. So this is probably why it seems like the elite congressmen and all those people are all Satan worshipers. And honestly, probably lots of them are. But the reason is because if you are a malevolent spiritual being, you're going to be spinning your wheels chasing down every human, trying to ruin their soul individually on a one-on-one basis. But you'll get a lot more achieved if you interact with the leader of like the Republican Party or different Senate committees or the presidency. You'll get a lot more done than if you went after each individual person. Also, you'd go after news outlets. You would definitely go after the media. That's why the government has done that, because the government, it's not even a spiritual entity, but the government is co-opted as well. But that's why you go after the media, because if you control the media, you can alter the perception of the public's reality, or the public's perception of reality, so that you can elicit fear and mostly fear, so that you can get a response from people that you want. So, with this platform as big as Alex Jones's platform, it is unlikely to me that he has been able to avoid his spiritual warfare. I think if you put yourself out in the public like that as a leader, you open yourself up as a target to be co-opted. And that's why people like that need our prayer, because they are probably experiencing a higher level of spiritual warfare than the average Joe. I got to go to work.